So we're dedicating this particular 15-minute massage to the Year of the Snake. I'm creating a video for our second annual fundraising event for the FernFest 2013 that will be happening on the 22nd of June. It's all weekend, but our particular event where we're training volunteers to do a 15-minute massage, and we're fundraising, selling those 15-minute massages for $5 each. So the event was very popular last year, and you can watch our videos from last year. This particular move, we're just going to start by putting the heels of our hands into the musculature along the side of the vertebrae. And we're just going to work up and down the spine with our two heels, gently massaging the muscles in the back of the spine. So we just want to work kind of gently and to the feeling of their body. If somebody was really stiff in their back, you might find that they wouldn't have quite as much movement as Lauren does here. Now I'd like you to go up and down the opposite side of the body, so you would have switched sides on the table, because often people tend to be tighter on one side than the other, and they might actually even notice. This is our second and third snaking move in this routine, and basically you're going to kind of inch your way up the person's spine. You can kind of inch in increments, and you're going to finish off with one move that we're going to use later on in the routine called the Viper Snake Grip. So this is the Viper grip on the shoulders. You can just squeeze the trapezius shoulders, and you want to make sure that you're just kind of making a squeeze, like a gripping movement, but you're keeping your thumb together. It's not like this. Often you'll see people massaging like this. This can be very irritating to the tendons of the thumb. You just want to squeeze your hands together like this. How does that feel, Lauren?
Feels like it's relieving a lot of pressure in my shoulders.
Good. Okay, and you can actually use the Viper grip down the sides of the arms, and you can come back across the top of the shoulders, and then you can just kind of inch your way back down the spine to the lower back. I'm just taking one side, the opposite side of Lauren's pelvis, and rocking her back and forth as I do the similar move that I did before, the snaking up and down. So I'm just using one hand on her pelvis, and I can position myself so that I can do that a little bit higher, and I can kind of rotate and just sort of give her that sense that her pelvis is attached to her lower back. This is actually a precursor to an actual stretch that one can do, and you can just kind of elevate the pelvis a little bit more if you felt like the person wasn't too tight and they were relaxing. So I'm just doing this ringing up her back of her leg. People might have bare legs, so you know, they might be men with hair on their legs, or there might be women with bare legs. So you just want to bear in mind who you're working on, the age of the person that you're working on, so that you don't cause them to feel uncomfortable in any way. If you got up here and they had kind of short shorts on or anything like that, you could continue ringing up and down, but you might want to stay, you know, to there, and then you could just kind of do some compressive movements onto their back gluteus area or their buttocks. It's kind of like when a snake sheds its skin. So how we would do that is we would just go from the neck all the way down to the legs, and we would actually, as if we're just peeling off the skin, we're just going to stroke down both legs. So as you're finishing up the stroking, you can say, oh, it's time to turn over now. You can place the bolster underneath their knees so that it kind of flattens out their lower back and has them feeling more comfort while they're lying there. I like movement, and I like being able to mobilize people, and it often gives people a real sense of how flexible they are and how well they're moving or not. So what we'll do is we'll use the bolster to support the one leg, and we'll keep the other leg flat, and then we'll support underneath the knee from the outside, and we'll lift the leg. And then what we'll do is we'll put our hand on top of the knee, and we'll just kind of make a circle. You know, kind of like a snaking move, if you imagine. Now, if somebody's got problems with their hip, perhaps they feel a bit vulnerable with their knee, you're going to have to give them a fair bit of support here. But you'll find as you come to the outer edges of this kind of circle that you're making, that there could be some tightness or some resistance. You can also just see how I'm moving my body, how I'm just kind of rotating myself with this. This is just a really nice, gentle way of mobilizing the hip and the low back, actually. How does that feel, Lauren?
Feels like it's loosening my hip.
You'll want to do that on both sides, but prior to that, what you want to do is you want to put the person's foot on the table and just see that they're comfortable. And again, like we did the shedding of the skin, the snaking of the hip and leg is now going to turn into, it's like taking your arms and giving their thigh a hug, and you're pulling towards yourself. And sometimes with people, if they're really tight in their hip joint here, you'll be able to move them about that far. It won't be much. So don't crank on them in any way to give them any sense that they have to kind of tighten up and hold on to where they like to be, but just kind of encourage this sort of pulling away of the skin. And you can just kind of work up and down. And of course, this gives you a little rest. You're just using your body weight to lean back, and you're just pulling on their leg and opening their hip joint. Now, you can then sit up off the table, take their leg out to the side, and slide their leg back down. And then you can ask them to lift their leg up, and you can slide the bolster over to the other side, and then you can continue, walk around the bottom of their feet, and then rotate their leg and hip on this opposite side. Roll the hip joint. Just imagine that there's a long bone here and a femur ending with a ball and socket joint for their hip, and you're just kind of rolling it around in its socket. And you can change direction, and then when you're ready, you can sit the foot back down. And just like we did on the backs of the legs, we are doing this ringing kind of snake bite type move on the arms. And we're just going to work up and down. And then once we make our way down, we're going to do move number 9, which is kind of a snaking lifting move of the arm and shoulder. And this is really nice for people who have a bit of tension in their shoulder. So what you're doing is you're just taking that same kind of snake rolling action, and you can help them lift their shoulder right up. This feels fantastic for the back, you know, it kind of rotates the back. Can you feel that in through your shoulder? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is a nice way to just kind of spiral up the arm and relax the arm and shoulder. And then we're going to do one little last kind of snaking move up the arm, and this feels really nice, and then you can kind of come back down. So you just kind of run your heel and palm of your hand up and snake back down. And then you can kind of snake out her fingers, pull these little baby snakes. You can feel her finger, you can hear her fingers cracking. So you can give enough of a pull. You don't want to dislocate any joints here. And so you can take your hands and just make these circles around the chest muscles here. Now if you've got a young girl and you're a male doing massage, or somebody that you think might be a little bit self-conscious, just keep your circles a little bit higher in the chest area so that you can allow them to feel comfortable with what you're doing. So you can make slower, bigger circles, or you can make smaller, more defined circles. And you can work right into the what they call the axillary area here. Now if somebody's ticklish, they might not like this, or they might start pulling themselves in, and you can ask them if they're ticklish. You could do that here and then into the shoulder, and then flip your hands around. You can actually lift their neck a little bit if you want to kind of linger with this aspect. People love neck massages, and they love this shoulder and neck area being worked. So we're just going to keep that same sort of style of little circular snake moves, Chinese style, that circular movement like that, all the way up both sides of the neck. Now this is where we come to the second part of our viper squeeze. So we're just going to slide our hand underneath the neck, and we're going to squeeze the neck a little bit. Just with one hand, and then we can use the other hand and we can squeeze the neck there. And this feels quite wonderful. Helps to open up the joints in the neck and helps to give some relaxation to the neck muscles at the back of the neck. You want to kind of take your hands and keep them kind of firm and traction out the neck a little bit. So you can just start down here and you can just kind of draw your hands up and lean back. I'll have stools for everyone, so you can just kind of lean and elongate. So be a nice long straight snake. We're just pulling, elongating the muscles in the back of the neck. As an added bonus to this massage, I've created a special snake oil for this event. You can finish the snake massage by rubbing the oil into your own hands. So just a couple of drops helps you bring a lot of heat from the friction of your hands. And you can brush that through their hair. So we're going to try and follow this routine. We're going to have 13 moves, and each one of them will be set out on a recipe format for you to follow. There's going to be cue cards up in the stalls for you to do. We're hoping that during a 3-hour volunteer period that you would be able to do maybe up to 10 massages even, or maybe more. Once you've done that many massages, you'll be able to know this routine relatively off by heart, and you'll be able to perform it for your friends and loved ones and actually make somebody feel really good in a very short period of time. So I'm hoping you'll come out and volunteer. You can contact me, Roxanne, at vvtherapy.com, 250-298-4484, and info@vvtherapy.com will get email to us, and we'll be setting up some dates for this volunteer training period in June, just before the event. And like I said, that's happening on the 22nd of June. And so thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you at our event this year. Thank you.